The following is a presentation of The Day.
As the calendar turns to November, the ECC turns to Championship Week. A 2 o'clock start for the Girls Soccer Championships. Features the number 6, the upstart Montville Wolves, and the number 1 Lyman Bulldogs. All the action live on Game Day. Game Day is brought to you by Waterford Dental Health, solutions for all your dental needs. All that's good begins with a smile, and when you visit our office, your smile is our top priority. Visit waterforddentalhealth.com for more information. That's Waterford Dental Health. Casey O'Neill along with the coach, the great Colin Delaney. It is that time of year again, Colin. Soccer championships in the ECC. We got a little bit of an early start. Montville, the 6th seed, on their home field, but an underdog against the number 1 champion, Lyman Bulldogs.
Yeah, Casey, just as this weather turns, right, for this winterish kind of chilly weather in the air, here we are again, and so happy to be back with you here in the booth and enjoying some great, fall soccer.
My soccer education continues. Every year that you're with me, I learn a little bit more, and what I want to learn in this one is, can a team beat another team 3 times? We talk about it. It's difficult. Lyman's going to have to do that if they want to win another championship.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you have 2 teams that know each other very, very well. Not a lot of secrets going into this game. And also really kind of 2 different kinds of teams. You've got a very kind of young team in Montville with 1 senior on their roster, and Lyman, who just really graduated 2 seniors last year, 9 seniors on this team. So, a tale of 2 different kinds of teams. But once again, you throw that out the window when you have a team playing 3 times during this season.
Lyman took care of Montville early in the season, 1-0 in a very competitive game. And then that was on September 25th, and then smacked them around a little bit, 4-0. The second time they saw each other recently, a week ago. As you mentioned, a very young Montville team. In many ways, this is a year early for them. They were not necessarily expecting to be in an ECC championship game, but they advanced with a 2-1 overtime victory over the 3-seed Plainfield, and then put a really good effort together in a 4-0 shutout of Wheeler. Perhaps a bit early for Montville, but they're here. Let's find out if the inexperience shows up at all in some jitters, or whether or not they can settle in and play more like the 1-0 game, obviously, than the 4-0 game.
Yeah, going back to that game 1, Lyman, scored late in that game, good finish, evenly matched game, 1-0. Game 2, talking to the Montville coaching staff, they said they came out flat, just didn't have their game together, and certainly, Lyman's not a team that you can come out flat to. Came out flat, and Lyman capitalized and really put them away early and often in that game.
Certainly, when you think of Lyman, you think of explosiveness. They've been a very good offensive team for a number of years, no different this year. Down the stretch, they struggled a little bit, tying Griswold, losing to East Hampton before sort of righting the ship in the semifinal win 3-1 over St. Bernard. But they've put up, 7 goals, 6 goals, 4 goals. This is a team that has a lot of firepower, and a bunch of different girls will touch the ball today for Lyman.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you look at the way those 2 teams ended their season. Lyman kind of limped into the postseason, but sometimes for a team that's got 13 wins on the season, that could be kind of a wake-up call. A lot of parity in soccer, and certainly this could be an opportunity for them to kind of bounce back heading into the postseason. Whereas Montville, quite the opposite. They're kind of heading into the postseason on a positive note, with 2 big wins in the ECC tournament.
Cardinale took it to the corner. 1 touch by Judd, and Montville does a nice job in the middle of the field to put a stop to that. And then right back in. Here's a touch. High, and there's your first goal of the ball game. Emily McKelvey, the sophomore, got it on a re-center, put it on her foot, and the goalie, Katie Myjak, had come out thinking she was going to get there first, and she was caught in no man's land. 1-0 Lyman.
Yeah, McKelvey, great job, kind of just, so deftly bring that ball down off the chest and then kind of volleying that ball over the keeper who came off her line maybe a little bit too prematurely. So great job by her. It's a lot of maturity for a young player to put that ball back in the net early in the championship game.
An early 1-0 lead, and here you see Montville on the attack for the first time. A nice through ball down the sideline. And just a little bit long, it goes for Hochdoerfer, and now we're going to have a Montville throw.
So kind of spoke about the previous two contests between these two opponents, and you look at it where, game one, kind of a stalemate most of the match, and then a late goal, earns the Lyman win. The last match was, kind of a 4-0 blowout, and, Lyman kind of scored often and early. We'll see what kind of response Montville has here in this championship game if they can kind of keep their wits about themselves and get back in it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that would go a long way for Montville in a couple of different aspects would be scoring a goal. They've been shut out 5-0 in 2 games against Lyman. They haven't been able to get one past Phoebe Carpenter, the Lyman keeper. In any championship game, right, we talk all the time, that first goal, right, just getting one in, let alone being behind 1-0, so obviously they're going to need to generate a goal. I just think a goal would go a long way for Montville's confidence, having not been able to do that yet in their 2 games with Lyman.
When you look at their goal differentials, right, both teams are scoring goals, in terms of, their opponents. 42 goals for Montville, 46 goals for Lyman. The difference is in the goals against. Carpenter has just been, really kind of a stopgap there. Only 9 goals against on the season, where Montville's got 26 against. So that's the big difference between those two teams. But to your point, Casey, you're absolutely right. If they can get a goal, it's going to build so much confidence and put them back in this game.
Val puts it up in front and off sides. Running ahead of everybody was McKelvey. She was smelling that second one.
Yeah, you're going to see in these games too, because for the most part, the ECC has a 2-man officiating crew, but in these championship games, you'll see a 3-man crew out there. So you have 3 officials out there, 2 ARs, and a center official. So you see a lot of these offsides calls called, pretty quickly and pretty accurately opposed to those 2-man crews, which is a lot more difficult for the officials.
Turning and letting it fly was Boucher. Koning puts it off to Chung, and Chung's heading into the corner, being chased by Svidarski. It goes off the pylon, so it will be a Montville throw, and Chung will take it.
Yeah, Chung is one of those quick players, good on the ball, impact players in the attacking end, so she's someone you definitely need to look out for today.
I have a cute Jada Chung story, which I will share. When I was coaching 4th grade basketball, we played Montville, and they had a girl playing on the boys' 4th grade team. They had a girl playing guard, and I saw the name, and I said, guys, I don't know anything about her, but I can tell you this. She's not going to play like you think she's going to play, and she's going to be better than you think. I think she had a triple-double against us in 4th grade, and very quickly they stopped thinking of her as anything other than a really good basketball player. I said, I don't need to know much, but I know who her dad is, and I'm guessing she can play. And she's been a great athlete here at Montville for all 3 years as a junior this year.
Yeah, she's just a good athletic kid in general. So, whatever sport she's going to be in front of, she's going to be an impact player.
Montville's starting to find a little more success here, being a little more aggressive, keeping the ball in their zone, something that, they need to do. We talked about getting one in the net. The only way to do that is for them to stay aggressive when the ball's on the Lyman half.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing for them right now, Casey, because, if you can catch Lyman kind of, falling asleep here after that goal, right, kind of that false sense of hope, it might give them the opportunity to put that ball in a dangerous spot. Since that goal, the ball really hasn't been in Montville's half at all. It's
been funny because Lyman took the opening touch and pretty much just kept it away from Montville, scored a goal. Then Montville has kept it away from Lyman since then. So it's almost like whichever team possesses has done a really good job maintaining possession. The difference, of course, being the 1-0 Lyman lead. Nice touch in the middle and pushing it off. Back outside it goes to Hochdoerfer. Bella Estelle gets it over to Chung. Chung's going to push it, and now it goes out wide. Montville running down in the corner. Turn, a little center. That one's rolling around and cleared by Lyman.
I think what you're also seeing, Casey, is that Montville's playing in a 4-3-3, so they're getting that extra attacker forward right from the get-go. So if they can get that ball in their attacking half, they're always going to have that extra attacker on that back four. Whereas Lyman looks to be playing a 4-4-2, almost like a false 9. So one forward kind of coming back a little bit more on defense. So you're going to see maybe a little bit more of that attacking presence by Montville if they can keep the ball in their attacking half.
The one senior on Montville, Sydney Cook, forward, is being marked by a fellow senior, Ella Caplet of Lyman. I think that's one thing you're going to see those two on each other for the majority of the day when Montville's got the ball on their offensive side of things.
And you can see, Lyman's playing that sweeper stopper as well. So you have, that stopper sitting behind the back three there for that 4. So that's going to be one more kind of safety valve for them if Montville does break through. And there's a lot of speed and ability in this back 4 for Lyman. So they're going to be a tough back 4 to break. Montville's got to be patient, look to play the ball in, maybe play it negative a bit, create some space in behind, and look for those opportunities.
Yeah, when you get a sweeper who's also an all-state track star, that's always the kind of athlete you want. And the stopper, Dunnick, is also an outstanding and very, very tough athlete in the back. And everything that Lyman does is, based off of that back 4, which has been rock solid all year.
Yeah, I mean, the two center backs, Caplet and Dunnick are just, a force to be reckoned with. Their speed, their ability, their soccer IQ. It's going to be something that Montville needs to be mindful of. I think if Montville looks to switch the field a bit more, instead of trying to play the ball down the spine, I think it'll create some holes in that back end. If they stay in their channels, that could be a problem because I think Lyman's back 4 is too experienced to kind of fall for those types of things.
One thing I've always enjoyed about our soccer discussions is exactly that. Where are the available opportunities against different formations? And so, Montville playing that 4-3-3, where should they, where is the strength of that offense and where should they be attacking? And the other side of things is what Lyman runs in, good proportion to that towards stopping it.
Yeah, so Montville's looking to play that 4-3-3, but it looks like they got kind of one holding center mid with 2 kind of attacking center mids, that kind of rotates that triangle. So they could be susceptible for counterattacks by Lyman down the flanks. If Lyman, puts that ball down the right and left flank, that could make Montville to work a little bit harder. But Montville's also playing a flat 4, so they can use their wide outside backs to kind of stop that. The flip side is, from Lyman's standpoint, playing 3, backs with a sweeper, they're more susceptible for holes in the back because they have that one less person across that back 4 of the 4. So, they both have very different styles right here. So I think it comes down to the coaching staff looking at those things, trying to find ways when they can to try to, find those weaknesses and find a way to score.
If you're just joining us and you're wondering why are you on at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, this game originally scheduled for 4:30, and it's pretty simple, and it's actually a really good reason. Lyman tragically lost a member of its student body. There is a memorial service for that student. It's this afternoon, and the entire Lyman community, including their soccer team and staff, wanted to be available to go to that service for their classmate, and so the game was moved to accommodate that. And I can't think of any better way to, there's no better reason to move a game than to allow community to be together, especially at a time like that. So Lyman certainly playing today, with their classmate in mind and in their heart.
Yeah, no, definitely playing with a heavy heart today with the loss of a classmate. I know a lot of these girls, knew that student, and it's tough for them. Credit to Scott Elliott, the athletic director at Lyman, who's also the girls sport chair, for kind of, going through the motions to get this done for his community and also for the sport of soccer. I think it's important that there's bigger things than on the field type stuff, and certainly, it's a good situation for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's affected Lyman in the community there. It happened the night before homecoming. They postponed their homecoming event, immediately saying that this was not a time that they wanted to celebrate. But I also know, having spoken with some of the Lyman girls, that a lot of them are playing this game, with that in mind, that this is what better way to honor a tragedy than through triumph. And Montville's playing as an upstart, but in many ways, this game has the themes of sports that we love in high school, right? You have an underdog, a young team, sort of maybe ahead of its time, a veteran team with playing for a classmate, the champion versus the upstart. It's got a lot of nice themes to it, and we're looking forward to a good ball game. 1-0 Lyman on an early goal from Emily McKelvey. Montville has settled down nicely since then. There's Abby Danowitz, the freshman. Love both the name. We are big fans of the name Danowitz, as well as seeing freshmen earning playing time. She has come a long way this year in her development.
Yeah, I've seen Abby play a lot over the years. She actually plays with my daughter and someone that I've seen develop, and she's certainly a great young lady, great athlete, great softball player too. So she's a super athlete, and happy to see her athleticism out on the field, because certainly that's going to help Montville, who's a young team, over the next 3 years.
Great ball and a chance, and it just going wide off the foot of Boucher. Carpenter was there. I think that one would have been a save in corner. Instead, it'll be a goal kick, but nice developing play there from Montville.
Yeah, Carpenter's a big presence. I mean, she's got a tall body, good frame. She's good at getting those low balls despite her height. She's someone that you need to put a ball in a good spot to find the back of the net.
If you are curious, our second game of the night is still scheduled for 7 o'clock. The Waterford Lancers, the number 1 seed, will take on the NFA Wildcats. And if you like the name Danowitz, you'll get a chance to see another one at 7 o'clock tonight. Sadie playing for NFA in the championship game. So we've got Championship Wednesday here for girls soccer.
Yeah, Sadie 2 goals in the NFA East Lyme game tonight under, very wet skies. Cold, wet night. But once again, fall soccer in November. This is what it's all about.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of everything weather-wise. Saturday it was 75, almost 80 degrees. I watched a football game in 80-degree weather, and those kids were all dying. They canceled some cross-country meets because of the heat, which was unexpected at almost 80 degrees. Then the following day, it was rainy and 45, and it's been raining. It's been cold. Now the wind has picked up. Like you said, fall sports in Connecticut. What better? Can't have any better than that.
Yeah, New England, man, just wait 5 minutes. You never know what you're going to get the next 5 minutes with this weather around here. I'm sweating my tail off on Saturday watching a soccer game in East Lyme, and the next day I'm freezing with a hat and gloves on, at a crew race. So it's just how it goes.
Oh, on Sunday?
On Sunday.
Sunday was not a day I would have wanted to be on the water.
Saratoga Springs, New York, man.
Oh, beautiful place.
Yeah, except when it's 38 degrees, raining and windy.
My good friend Richie Urso went to high school in Saratoga Springs. Talks about it all the time. It's funny, you mentioned, weather in New England. Well, Peter Wappy will tell you that he's from northern New England. There's a whole other animal to being from northern New England. We southern New England people, we don't know what it's like, the hardships of the weather.
Yeah, you need a passport to get up there.
Peter, is it safe to say that this would be considered a balmy summer day for you northern New Englanders?
So, to be fair, are we talking Pomfret as northern New England? Because that's where I'm from.
Well, I'm thinking more along your life change. Well, yes, Pomfret is northern Connecticut, which makes it on the same plane as New Hampshire and Maine and Vermont. But I'm thinking more along the lines of your formative experiences in the NESCAC.
Yes. This is a nice late August day in the high peaks of Vermont.
I'm going to give Montville a lot of credit. They have really owned possession since they gave up the goal. They haven't had a lot of great looks, that one shot, really, but they have done a much better job here possessing the ball.
Yeah, I mean, Montville's a very competitive team. They're still growing, and I think they're a team that, has gotten better every day. You look at their game one to now in terms of not just results, but just the way they play. The chemistry, playing the way they face, possession style of attack, trying to find those holes. So certainly, they're not going to just bow down. They know what they're up against, and they know they can, beat these guys if they put things together.
Kondash goes far post and just out of the reach of Chung, and it'll be a goal kick for Lyman. Looking at the Montville starting lineup, sophomore. The goalie's a junior, but sophomore, junior, sophomore, junior, freshman, and then junior, senior. That's not just young. I mean, that's not just a bunch of juniors, and that's starting 5 freshmen / sophomores is a very young team.
Yeah, it just bodes well for their future. Coach Parody and Coach Beaupre over there, they're, happy with the results. I mean, certainly they don't want a moral situation today. Well, we're happy to be here. They want to win. But, I think the future's pretty bright for, Montville Wolves ladies soccer.
Well, they're in the midst of a transition. They were a very successful girls program for a bunch of years. They cycled out a veteran group that had also had championship pedigree, and then now they're in the midst of that. I think they would have thought this was the dreaded bridge year, but instead they came alive. Nice physical play to Faris.
Yeah, I mean, Montville's always been a program, boys and girls, that's done a lot with what they have.
Oh, here goes McKelvey, 2-on-1. Can she get the shot off? She does. Save! My Jack!
Big time, big game save by My Jack. Comes off her line appropriately, gets down low, and knocks that ball wide. Great save by My Jack. That's impressive.
We saw McKelvey. We know she can find the back of the net. She's got one already today. I think the defensive players from Montville did a nice job allowing My Jack to have an angle because they sealed off the one side. So as a keeper, knowing that the ball was not going to come back to the right allowed you to at least play the one side, and my Jack did it brilliantly.
There's Casey O'Neill and his keeper perspective. He is a former keeper in his own right, and I can it's oozing from you, Casey, just the knowledge of the keeper position over the years. I mean, coming off the line, cutting down the angle. I'm really proud of you.
This when we did the fall sports preview video, one of the players in the fall sports preview was the great keeper for Montville's boys soccer team, Adonis Santiago, and we were talking a little bit beforehand, and Gavin DeLucia, here comes McKelvey putting it on. My Jack slides, loses it, and if the player for Lyman had her head back around, and that was Judd, she would have had a chance at a freebie, but Judd had turned thinking my Jack had the ball. Gavin DeLucia said, "You played soccer, right?" And I said, "Yes, I did." And Adonis Santiago said, "Oh, yeah, cool." I said, "Yeah, I was played keeper my senior year." And Adonis looked at me, looked me up and down, which didn't take long to look me up and down, and went, "You played soccer goalie?" I said, "Yes." I said, "I did, Adonis." And I said, "I played it very differently than you did." I said, "I was not nearly as acrobatic as you were. Some might say I was more of a linebacker playing goalie, whereas you're much more of an acrobat." And he kind of looked at me again, and he said, "I respect," and he gave me a little fist bump. See, I'm part of the club. I'm part of the keeper club.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Heisman Club, right?
That's right. We have a house and everything.
I mean, I would think you'd be very good at the ground game, Casey. Really good at those ground balls.
Didn't have far to go.
Yeah.
I had good hands, Colin. That's about all I could say. I had good hands. Good hands, and I could punt. I could punt the ball away. I didn't know I could throw it and punt it. There was not a lot left other than that, though. You would say, "How did you defend the top corners?" The answer is I did not. I did not defend the top corners.
Hope for the best. The NFA girls assistant Ryan Fabry recalls, I think, playing against you back in the day in his glory days of soccer in high school. He recalls you in goal back in the day. So we had some nice stories about that as well.
If he remembers more than one goal going in against me, he's probably remembering accurately as well. I'm not one. I know sometimes you scored 7 touchdowns against Polk High, kind of a thing. But no, if he remembers, I might saying I scored multiple times. There's a good chance that that's true. Two is not unreasonable. Montville doing a great job, again, maintaining possession right now, but they have not been able to really crack the defense of Lyman towards getting scoring opportunities. This is one of those things where they've had it between the 50 and the 30 predominantly here since they went down 1-0, but haven't been able to crack it. Archer with the throw. Ball goes across, touched by Val. And now in the middle, taken by Montville and put back into the Lyman zone before Dunack comes and pops it out for the Bulldogs.
Well, what's interesting is most of the dangerous attack by Lyman this game so far, the two really by McKelvey there, is down the spine. They weren't taking the ball too wide, whipping balls in from the flanks. It's more down the spine, playing balls through, playing balls over the top. So seeing a lot of that. So Montville needs to be mindful of those balls over the top. It looks like they're looking for McKelvey on the attack. It's almost like the 4-5-1 right now because they realize that Montville's got the lion's share of the possession. So trying to find McKelvey at the top because they know it's been successful on 2 occasions already. Whereas Montville has been more methodical in their approach with possession.
I think Montville had something on its first shot that they haven't replicated, which is continuing the switching of fields and transitioning it away from play, getting the keeper to have to go laterally across the goal, obviously is always a recipe for success. They have not done that. I'd like to see them, when they have a ball, get to the middle, have that person transition it against the flow of play. Down in the corner, Boucher, and it goes out. It'll be Lyman's. Lyman, you mentioned, has found its attack in the middle, and they have such great team speed. And that's kind of why I'm saying this for Montville. Montville can't attack. The few times they've tried to attack over the top, you can see the great speed of the backs of Lyman, and they're not going to be able to, even Chung, who's such a great athlete, she's not able to just beat people with her speed when they go that way. So I think along the ground might be the best way for Montville to get themselves into a scoring chance, whereas Lyman, you can see they pop it over the top and use that great speed.
Yeah, Montville's definitely trying to attack those flanks and try to spread out the back four of Lyman here, but Lyman's speed is too much to handle for them. So they got to try to find those pockets and just get a little bit of daylight for that ball and put a ball in the frame. And once again, it's a tall task because you got a deep back four, an athletic keeper, not a lot of space to move. Whereas Montville playing that flat four, is actually helping to Lyman's advantage because Lyman has that speed up top and then playing the ball over the top. So if Montville needs to be mindful of having maybe a little bit more depth in one of their back four here, their center backs to help out. I think also what's hurting Montville a bit now is you've got, one of their starters, Mackenzie O'Donnell, one of the O'Donnell twins is out right now in concussion protocol. So not having her in the lineup has been a little bit of a drop off. But, certainly they're not showing signs of that today. They're playing really good soccer.
Archer, well defended Condash for Montville. McKelvey touches it out to Vol. Vol making a run, now puts it on goal, trying to get a run from the weak side and far post, but a nice job by Myjack. She was trying to get Judd to get there first. That's, again, Lyman looking to use its speed.
Yeah, you're seeing very contrasting styles of soccer, right? Lyman, good team in their own right, but they're playing a very direct brand of soccer. A lot of over the top, a lot of quick transitions, a lot of, out of the back, right? Those big balls, 20, 30 yards over the top, trying to find McKelvey or players in from behind, where Montville is bringing to that ground game, right? Find feet, play the way you face, switch the fields. So two very stark contrasts of attack so far.
In Montville, I always caution my son in particular that the transitive property of sports does not work. So New London beat Montville, Montville beat Ledger does not automatically mean that New London can beat Ledger. It doesn't work that way. But if I'm Montville, I'm looking at who's had success against this Lyman team. We've played them twice. We know what they are, but, can we change what we do even a little bit? Koning pops a shot onto goal, and Carpenter's there. What can we maybe glean from who's had success against Lyman? And you see, all right, East Hampton out of conference. We don't know a lot about them if you're Montville, but Griswold tied them 0-0, right? Plainfield beat them 2-1. Now I'm saying we beat Griswold 4-1. We beat Plainfield 2-1. So if I'm trying to garner some, positivity, I'm saying teams we beat have done well against Lyman. So what did they do? How does Plainfield play? How does Griswold play? And what did they do? And maybe what success can we, or what little thing maybe can we bring to our brand of soccer that gives Lyman a problem? And I'd be interesting to see it as is it the team speed of Griswold and Plainfield? Do they have a particularly potent scorer that needed to be marked? What is it about those teams that gave Lyman problems?
Yeah, well, I think the transitive property that you mentioned, doesn't apply a lot in soccer in general because there's so much parity in soccer. It's not 5v5 basketball. It's not one game a week for football. It's 11 players in the field where a lot can happen. You're playing 2-3 games a week sometimes, and you get injuries and things like that will pop up. So I don't think that applies to the situation. And even look at the Montville games versus Lyman. They beat them 1-0 and 4-0. So, those are two very, very different results. So a lot of it comes down to on a given day. You don't have to be the best team on paper. You got to be the best team on that day.
Back in the middle, Koning puts it outside to Chung. Nice step in and push out from Svadarsky. And now Montville will play it back through Myjack.
I think back to, the many games I've coached, on this field, and the ones that stick out the most are the ones that were supposed to win and maybe didn't, right? So, I think it comes down to, how you show up and the level of energy, the game plan, all those things kind of play into it. So you never know. I've been on the side of games, that we should have won and lost. I've been on the side of games that we should have lost and won. So it all depends on those pieces. So
here's a chance for Montville. Tufaris had it. And one more bounce. They were a bounce away. Chung has it on the outside from Montville, and a nice defensive play from Lyman, but Montville maintains pressure and keeps it in the Lyman zone.
I think Coach Parady's got to be pretty happy with the way that Montville's come out in this game. Not that one goal early, but certainly the way they responded to it. In a game like this, looking back at that 4-0 loss, right, they could very easily have curled up and packed it in and say, we'll play for another day, state tournament's coming up. But no, they're right back at it, and you can argue that they are dominating this first half from a possession standpoint. They just need to get some more opportunities on the frame.
Yeah, trailing 1-0. Time of possession clearly on the Montville side. Now, I'd say that Lyman's had 4 legitimate scoring opportunities, one of which they cashed in on, 2 which were direct shots, and 1 which was just a through ball that didn't quite get there. Montville's had 1. So time of possession has not translated into opportunity yet. But you know that if you just keep this pressure up, it's only so long before an opportunity arises.
Well, like any sport, right? Whether it's baseball, whether it's soccer, whether it's basketball, it comes down to how many points you put on the board, right? I don't care how many hits you have or how much time of possession you have. You got to put balls in the back of the net. So, I think Coach Perry's got to try to come up with a way, going to the second half with about 12 minutes left to go in this first half. How can we break down this back line of Lyman? Because what they're doing right now is a lot of deep shots, and you're not going to get by Carpenter with deep shots.
No, you're going to have something where she is going in one direction and not, set. Because when she's set, she's long and she's very difficult to attack.
Yeah, and you get a very experienced Lyman team, and they've been playing together for a long time, and they've had some success. Last year going to the state finals. So certainly this team is built for a run in the postseason, whether it's ECC or state tournament. They've been here before. Not that Montville hasn't, but this is a young group of Montville players, so this is a good growing experience.
Kondash will come up and take the free kick from Montville just outside the 20. So she's about 30 yards away from the goal. Let's see if she tries to put one on to Carpenter. Pops it low, run on. Carpenter comes in, loose ball. Here's a chance for Montville. And, Tufaris would have liked that one back.
I think set pieces could be the name of the game for Montville. If they can get some balls deep in the end, get some corner kicks, get some set pieces, some direct and indirect kicks from, just outside the box, a ball like that where Carpenter has to come off her line, save a ball in traffic, could be an opportunity for them to get a second chance opportunity.
That was a juicy rebound. Those are the ones you want. Just couldn't get enough thump on the putback.
Yeah, I don't think Carpenter's going to drop too many balls hit from deep, but a ball in traffic, I think that could be an opportunity for Montville. And that was a great ball, served in there just inside the 18, outside the 6 there for Montville to run onto, and Carpenter couldn't handle it, almost put that ball away.
There's Tufaris making a play. She's limping around a little bit right now. I think on a cold day like today, and you certainly can dig back into your soccer experience as well. You get a ball off of a leg today, that you might not feel it again until you can find time to warm up.
For me, Casey, it was always like the extremities. It was always like the toes, right, the fingers. And, when you're running out there, plan on it being, and your wife could probably speak to this. She's a runner, 15 to 20 degrees more than what the temperature is. So we're probably sitting at 45 right now. It probably feels like, 50, 55 degrees, 60 almost. But those appendages, like the toes and fingers, can be a problem.
There goes McKelvey. Blasted it along the line towards the back post, far post, but no one home. My Jack went down. That's when you would have liked to have seen someone running far post to be there for Lyman, but McKelvey did a nice physical run.
And that's what I think Lyman needs to do more of, right? Not just down the spine. That's a nice flank ball, and then play that ball across the box or even negative. And you have, 2 or 3 players crash in the box, or even Montville players crash in the box. That could create an opportunity for scoring there for sure.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. My wife, who is one of those ridiculous distance runners who runs ultra marathons and, just absolutely silly. She likes it about 20 degrees colder than what it is for me. So for me, 45 degrees is like winter. For her, 45 degrees is bliss because, it's a good run. And I remember playing soccer in the cold, and for me, my feet were also a problem. I'd always have, my toes were never comfortable. But for me, playing, before I was a keeper, when I played, I was mainly a defensive player, and you get shots ripped off of you, and you just have my thigh. I remember my thighs being pretty much numb for the better part of the half, and I can see these girls limping around once they take that shot. So that it's the ball's like a rock when on a cold day like today.
Well, I think keepers, it's a good point. Keepers have the biggest issue, right? Because they're not running around. They're in the box. They got gloves on, but they're not gloves, right? They're just to save the ball. And, they get cold quick. And then all of a sudden, at a moment's notice, they're required to make a big save or, to become this, Spider-Man athlete. And it's hard to sometimes when you're sitting there, especially if your team is dominating and you get a counterattack. So that's a big part of it, too, is those extremities. I think back, I'm going to date myself here, 1995, state semifinal, East Lyman versus Farmington. I'm out in the field. And I remember my cleats had gotten so old, there's a hole in one of the cleats. We're playing in the snow up at Bethel in the state semifinals, and how cold my feet were. I don't think my feet thawed out till the next day.
I believe that. Here's another direct kick for Montville, and Lyman does a nice job. But again, its possession has been staying primarily on the Montville side, and 7 minutes remaining here in the first half. 1-0 Lyman. Montville's done a great job with possession. And, but it's funny because every sport has its own. How does the weather affect this sport? A windy, cold day, affects soccer in a few different ways. And certainly right now it does not appear like the wind is a huge factor. But one thing we should be mentioning is that Montville's playing with the wind right now. So, I would think that Lyman is going to be more effective in the second half with that speed when they're going to be playing with the wind. Right now, Montville playing with the wind, maybe they might be better off in the second half playing against the wind, with how they approach their offense. So the wind is definitely a factor, and we kind of forget it being up here in the booth. But if you look at the flags on the cones or even the flags that the officials are holding, it is most certainly a pretty strong wind going in Montville's favor right now.
Well, I think it also depends on when Lyman plays that ball, right? Lyman playing a ball out of the back with the wind is going to help them, right? Because it's going to stay in the field, they can run onto it. If Lyman plays a big ball from midfield or in the attacking half, that ball might just leave the field before they get a chance to run onto it. So it depends on where they play it from. But you're right. Typically a direct style of attack with the wind, better, right? Playing into the wind with a more ground attack, better. Here's a set piece we talked about. Hopefully we can get some action here.
Corner from Montville. Middle of the field, running on, and no one home. Far post, just out of the reach of Bella Estelle.
Yeah, great ball by Hudson there. We're going to get another one out of this in a second. This is an opportunity. Montville's got to use these set pieces to their advantage. When you look at college and pro soccer, you're looking at between 50 and 60% of all goals are scored on set pieces. So, almost a lion's share of what's going on. Let's see if they can put one of these away.
Hudson will take it on the far side for the Wolves. Goes along the ground. Cleared out from Lyman.
Now, for those, maybe not as versed in soccer, that was not a ball that she mishit. That's a ball that was a set play that the coaching staff had set up. That was a ball on the ground, potentially a dummy ball. Didn't quite get through, but that was a set piece that they're trying to create some opportunities through getting a ball on the ground that can be struck once rather than a header in the air.
And you mentioned set pieces. We've seen more goals this year in both boys and girls soccer from 30 to 40 yards out. The number of players, both in boys and girls soccer, who can legitimately attack from 30 and 40-yard free kicks has gone up exponentially. There might have been a player or two in the league that could do that, and now you're seeing a player or two on each team. Carpenter on her spot, on her line, ready for that shot from Tafaris.
Well, we're going to see one of the best ones in the league in this next game in Jordan Fabry. Jordan is tremendous. I think Jordan's got 9 goals on the season. I think 7 of them are from set pieces. She bent one in against East Lyme in a game a couple weeks ago as a lefty, into the far post from a corner kick. Untouched by anybody else, just bent it in. A beautiful, beautiful shot.
You can see that goal on the grade 8 because that made it. We called it Bend It Like Fabry. She did exactly that. She just sculpted it into the net. And, we've seen that a lot this year. So you're right. Set pieces have become, and free kicks, are becoming more and more dangerous from farther and farther away. Montville has done a fabulous job in the past few minutes of sort of getting a few more balls onto Carpenter, but their best chances have remained coming off of those farther out free kicks.
Yeah, and they've had corner kicks now on both sides of the field, so they're using both sides of the field to their ability. They're trying to find balls into their forwards and have players run onto it. They've been pretty good in the back. But, I think one thing we haven't talked about yet is Coach Morello. He's in his 35th season here. He's a seasoned veteran. He knows what he's doing for sure. He does not look panicked whatsoever, despite not holding possession, because he knows that this team has a lot of speed on its roster here and can change this game in a dime.
Well, it helps when you're up 1-0. That certainly helps. As long as you're in the lead, it's easier to be calm. And right now, I think he's feeling like, hey, they can possess it all they want. We're up 1-0, and they really have. And if I'm in his head, he's going, they haven't really challenged Carpenter yet, and we're doing a fine job in the back line, and we've got the lead. So let them possess it all they want.
I think part of the conversation with Coach Morello at halftime has got to be the set pieces, because 2 out of the 3 opportunities that Montville's had for scoring chances have been on set pieces. A corner kick from Hudson from this one side, a beautiful ball in the middle that went untouched. That one set piece from just outside the 18 that dropped in, that Carpenter kind of bobbled for a second. And then the third one was just a shot. So I think he needs to have that conversation about, hey, we're doing great, keep things rolling, but be mindful of those set pieces.
Montville will have the throw. Danowitz will take it. We have a shoe check, middle of the field. Got to tie the shoe for Montville. And we're going to look at, we got some subs that want to check into the game.
A lot of shoe tying going on right now.
Listen, when I coached Little League Baseball, when I coached 8- and 9-year-olds, one kid would shoe would be untied, we would stop play and we'd yell, shoe check, and inevitably 7 kids would go be down there tying their shoe. I mean, it's amazing. It's like it's an epidemic of loose laces. When one goes, they all go.
The double knot is a lost art, Casey.
It really is. Some very floppy, poorly tied shoes out there.
The slip-on cleats are the best thing that's ever happened to my U12 team.
I absolutely, and listen, I am a Kizik's man myself. I have not tied a shoe in a number of years. Mine slip on too. Mine for different reasons than the 8 and 9-year-olds.
How many times as a keeper do you have to have one of the field players tie your shoes because you can't tie them with those big mitts on?
Gloves, although my defensive players, Danny Glynn, Todd Meadows, guys like that, they weren't going to tie my shoes. They tell me to suck it up, take my gloves off. They're like, you get to wear gloves, shut up. Danowitz puts the ball down and retreats. It'll be Lyman ball. Clock down under 2 minutes, 1:40 remaining. So Lyman going to try to get one last push in here. And there's a good ball. McKelvey, she's so tough. Puts it on top, over the top of Myjack, and a goal for Emily McKelvey, her second of the game. Right on cue with 1:26 remaining. So tough, and she popped it over the top of Katie Myjack.
Wow, incredible strike by McKelvey. I mean, not a lot of angle. That ball had to be hit just where it was to be a goal. You put that ball with pace over the keeper from the weak side there, or to the weak side rather. I mean, that was an incredible strike. And you know what? Just like her first goal, deft touch, confidence, put it away like she's been there before.
And if there was, such a thing as a disheartening goal, that's it right there. Montville possessing the ball for all but maybe a couple minutes of the first half and down 2-0, both because of McKelvey. And the one thing I will say, McKelvey, who's only a sophomore, is incredibly physical with the ball on her feet. She's able to absorb contact and maintain possession, which at this level in girls soccer in high school, is not. It's a trait that is incredibly valuable to be able to take the physicality and still maintain the possession.
And that's what we're going to hear in the next game as well. NFA is probably the most physical team in the ECC from a soccer standpoint. And, we'll talk about that in the next game. But to your point, McKelvey, very physical. She's not going to take on players 1v1 and slice and dice and kill them with that speed and that 1v1 stuff. She's just so strong on the ball, it's hard to get away from her. And then once again, with that great strike and just that pinpoint accuracy, it's a tough thing to beat, especially with, 2 more years left of this. This division's in trouble with McKelvey in the future.
She was able basically to put players on her shoulder, bump them off contact-wise, keep the ball on her foot. We've seen her right and left foot able, so she's equally skilled. And all she needs is that one little spot, and she pops it over. We're at halftime, and it was McKelvey early and McKelvey late, and a 2-0 lead for the Lyman Bulldogs as we head into halftime. We're going to take a timeout. Please stay tuned for features and fun here at halftime, and we'll be back with second half action. You're watching Game Day live, ECC Girls Championship on theday.com.
Being part of a great community is so important. People helping and supporting others can be very uplifting and contagious. At Philomena's Restaurant, that's exactly what you get. It's the community hub for not just Waterford, but all of southeastern Connecticut. Birthday parties, anniversary dinners, weddings, sports banquets, a drink with friends, and of course, charity events. Philomena's has been, is, and will always be there for the community. Celebrate and support southeastern Connecticut at Philomena's. Philomena's, Utopia Plaza in Waterford.
After the game, follow Game Day CT on social media to see our pick for the Scient Federal Credit Union top play. Pave the way for your students' financial success with a MySci account from Scient Federal Credit Union. Open a high-yield MySci savings account today and help support a positive financial future for your student. Visit scientfcu.org to learn more.
It's time for Game Day's Grade 8 Plays of the Week. At number 8, New London running back Kentrell Witherspoon DeSources. 33 yards, breaking tackles. DeSources got horses and he's in the end zone for the Whalers. At number 7, TRC linebacker Brian Lowe against Cheney Tech, scoops up the fumble and he goes, well, low, into the end zone, touchdown. Hey, how about a free kick from Old Lime's Kate Walsh? Nothing free about this. It's costly, upper shelf goal. It's never too early for some basketball. Hey, Tyler Mangual to Amari Marshall, thunder. You know, one day, I'd like to be Soren Reef. I'd like to take the third snap of the game and go 55 yards as one of my 7 touchdowns. My 431 yards rushing. Reef is a beast. How about the most heads-up play of the week? I'm stopped. Brady Summit, maybe. Let me pitch it back to my quarterback. Jax Higgins says, I'm off to the races, and maybe I'm going to get bumped out here for 2, but we're going to score on the next play. Great play by the Lancers. Sometimes it just feels like you're cursed. Jamel Curse, running back Ledgerd, breaks it outside against Bacon Academy, shows the wheels, cuts it back inside for the 86-yard touchdown run. Colonels win. But at number 1, nothing better than a senior on senior night. Fitch Boys Soccer senior David Hogetto with the gorgeous cross to fellow senior Tate Gordon with the header from way downtown, and a 3-1 win for the Falcons. That's your Grade 8. Hey, send us your plays. Maybe you'll get next week's Grade 8.
Championship hardware on the line Thursday afternoon at the Norwich Golf Course. 6-time champions East Lyme looking to defend their ECC Cross Country title. Plenty of talented runners in the field looking to dethrone the Vikings.
We are from St. Bernard's and no one can be prouder, and if you cannot hear us, we'll shout a little louder.
A beautiful sunny afternoon in Norwich with a light breeze. Last year's individual champ, Waterford Junior Avery May, is out to the front of the pack at the start, along with Lyman Memorial senior Hazel DeLucia, who finished 5th last year. Fall colors starting to pop out on the golf course, and 4 minutes in, looks like it's shaping up to be a 2-person race, with DeLucia and Mays already putting considerable distance on the field.
I was just really happy to be here. I was really sick last year, so this just felt like a redemption race, and I knew I had to get out fast, and I just really was going to get out and see what I could do, and just kind of redeem myself from last year.
At the 6-minute mark, DeLucia makes her move, heading up the notorious long hill on the golf course's 4th fairway, starting to put some separation between herself and Mays.
I did so many hills this summer, simply just to prepare for this race. Long hills, short hills, I needed to be ready, because this hill ate me up last year, and I was going to be ready for that this year.
Those hill workouts seem to have paid off as DeLucia charges up one of the last inclines on the course, well ahead of the rest of the field. DeLucia coming down the stretch all by herself to the finish line.
When you crossed the finish line, it looked like you were a little overcome. Is that right, or not?
Like I said, I was sick last year, and I just, to prove to myself that I could do this, it felt really, really good.
Waiting at the finish line was mom, Stephanie Johnson DeLucia, the Class L champion in 1992 and a member of NFA's 1995 New England Championship team, but who never won the ECC title.
My mom was one of the most amazing runners I've ever known. I'm so lucky that she's my mom, and I thank her every day for all the advice she gives me. She was just, it doesn't matter if she won ECCs or not, she was the best runner I've ever met.
Mays finished second.
Great job, Oliver. Great job.
Stonington's Peyton Vanderstreet took third.
Great job.
Ledyard's Ella Stevenson finished sixth with teammates Kate Littler in ninth and Josephine Withbrow in 10th, clinching the Colonel's first team title since 1989.
I came into it knowing we were the stronger team, but actually having to, everybody's got to do their job on race day, and everybody's got to have a good day, and anything can happen during a race, and you can only control what you can control. So I was nervous, of course, and everybody else was, but I knew we could do it, and we did.
109 runners lining up for the ECC Boys Cross Country Championship Thursday at the Norwich Golf Course. And with last year's two top finishers graduating, we were guaranteed a new individual champ. East Lyme, the favorites to win their 6th straight team title, but their top returning runner, last year's third-place finisher Sean McCauley, was a question mark after missing time with an ankle injury.
He ran 2 races early on, and they were pretty conservative, and then he had the Achilles, which, it wasn't anything super major, but we're always going to be cautious with that. And so he just started training again about, maybe 10 days ago, 12 days ago, and really training.
Early on, McCauley, part of a 3-person lead pack, along with Woodstock Academy's Christian Menounos and Griswold's Tyson LaBelle.
I knew it would be a very fast race because it's Christian and Tyson, very, very talented people. And going into this race, I had no idea what my plan was. I was just gonna base it off of who did what and who started out fast, who didn't.
He's probably the most talented distance runner I've ever coached, and he just loves it. And I think he has a tremendous amount of trust in himself and in the program. So I think that that kind of shone through today.
That leading trio staying tightly grouped through the first 2 miles, waiting to see who would try to make a move first. And up the hill and into the home stretch, it was McCauley deciding to go for it.
I was just trying to wait, just keep waiting and waiting until I thought it was the right time to go. And I went, and once you go like that, you can't turn back. You can't, you just gotta go, So that's what I did. I just tried to just finish strong.
McCauley was first across the line, one of 5 East Lyme runners in the top 10, leaving no doubt about the team championship. The 6th straight for the Vikings.
3 years ago, when Luke Anthony was a senior, there was a huge shift in the program of these kids that they wanted to be runners. They didn't want to just do this as an after-school activity. They wanted to run in college, and they wanted to run post-collegiately, and they wanted to learn about, workouts and training. And I think when you put that mindset together with a group that's obviously very talented, you can have a lot of fun.
Fall is here, which means it's time for Game Day's Great 8, the best 8 plays of the week submitted by you, the viewers, on any of our social media platforms. You send us the best videos from practice or the game, any sport in the fall, and we might see about putting it on the Great 8 of the week. Well, as we head into a brand new season on Game Day, we want something brand new to come to all of you as well. Game Day launching its merchandise store for the first time. Now, as you know, greatness has no off season, and Game Day has no off season either. We're always working to provide you the best we can do, and that includes great merch. So come on into the merchandise store for game day. As the season progresses, who knows who's going to say what that'll make it onto the next game day t-shirt. Find out in the merch store.
We're back, halftime wrapping up here at Montville High School in the first of two ECC Girls Championship soccer games. This, of course, the Division II championship game. The number 6 seed Montville Wolves came into the game at 500, 8-8-2, taking on the number 1 seed Lyman Bulldogs at 13-3-1. And if you're just joining us early in the first half, it was sophomore Emily McKelvey popping in a goal for Lyman, and then it was pretty much all Montville possession for 2/3 of the first half until, with just over a minute remaining in the half, McKelvey struck again, hitting a brilliant shot over the top of Katie Myjack, the Montville keeper, and bringing it to a 2-0 game at halftime. Montville, who has been so gritty all year long, will have its work cut out for them as they have cumulatively trailed 7-0 versus Lyman on this year. They have not yet found a way to get it past Phoebe Carpenter. Of course, game day is brought to you by Waterford Dental Health. All that's good begins with a smile, and Waterford Dental Health is providing you the personalized dental care you deserve. Why don't you go to waterforddentalhealth.com, find out all there is to know about this great dental practice, waterforddentalhealth.com. Of course, I got the great Colin Delaney to my right. Coach, what'd you think of that first half?
Yeah, you know, once again, very contrasting styles of attack. Montville, very ground-based, possession, methodical, looking to switch the fields and try to find those holes. You know, and Lyman, a very quick, direct, physical attack. You know, and McKelvey, gosh, I mean, 2 great goals, 2 classic postseason goals, you know, to put, you know, Lyman up 2-0. And really that second goal coming in the last couple minutes of that half, kind of a crushing blow to, you know, really it was Montville's half, like you mentioned, possession-wise. I mean, probably a 60-40, 70-30 split Montville possession to Lyman. You know, I think going into this next half, Casey, I think you need to see
Lyman with numbers, Cardinale, and Myjack gets there first. Please continue.
I think you need to see a couple things. I think Montville needs to capitalize on their set pieces. I mean, 2 out of their 3 goal-scoring opportunities came on set pieces, a corner kick and an indirect kick outside the box. I think they need to possess a little bit more with purpose. Sometimes they're possessing just to keep possession. Can they be more purposeful to try to find some holes as they switch the fields? You know, and then I think they'd be mindful of McKelvey. Can you drop a center back into support on those counterattacks? Because she is just not so super fast, just so strong on the ball. I mean, she's just putting players on her shoulders, and as she, you know, dribbles through the attack and scores. So key in on McKelvey. And then from a Lyman standpoint, you know, work off McKelvey. She's going to be someone that I think Montville is going to probably key in on more in the second half. You know, so can we work off that ball? So if she does get double teams, we have other options. And then can we defend set pieces better? You know. So I think it should be, you know, an interesting second half about how these teams adjust based on the first half.
One thing that I think will make a big difference, we're going to see, and I think we're already seeing it here in the early going, is the wind. The wind is now in Montville's face, and with Lyman, we saw a lot of Lyman's over-the-top direct style, maybe not as effective with that wind. Now they've got the wind. You can see them being much more aggressive here, possessing early.
Yeah, I don't see it to be too much of a difference for Montville because most of their attack's been on the ground. But you're right. You know, I think the wind going in now, the attacking direction of Lyman here in blue, I think that could be an issue for Montville if they're not mindful of having some more depth, especially with the way that McKelvey has been so effective on the attack.
Lyman will have a throw. Here it comes in from Ziegler. Puts it on the body of Judd. Popped out by Montville. So it'll remain Lyman throw. Archer will throw it in for Lyman. Archer. Back it goes to Caplet. Caplet plays it up, and we're going to get a whistle. Offsides on Judd. Interesting to note, starting half number 2, the young lady with 2 goals in the game, Emily McKelvey, not on the field to start with here in the second half for Lyman.
Yeah, not sure if it's a personnel situation, injury situation, or more of a rest situation. I don't think she can come off that field in the first half. So Coach Morello may be looking at it from the standpoint, we got a 2-goal lead. Potentially it's give her some time to rest and come off the bench. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, interesting to note for sure, because she has been really the engine that has run this offense in the first half.
And a freshman, Marissa Litwin, is in her place at that forward position. Montville with a throw.
Its own right, that's impressive, right? With such a deep team senior-wise, Lyman with 9 seniors, and now they have, goal scorer from a sophomore, and now they have a freshman starting in the second half in the championship game. Bodes well for their future as well, I suppose.
Lyman maintains possession here. Nice touch from Archer, and Montville steps in. That was O'Donnell. Got it outside to Hudson. Montville back to retaining possession. We did see McKelvey on the bench with her shoe off, but not in sweats or wrapped up or in any way, not being attended to by trainers, so we're not going to speculate on anything other than the fact that she's just not starting here in the second half with 2 early goals in the first half.
Tell you what though, Kay, stepping out of the booth at halftime, it's quite chilly out there. That wind is biting. So, for these players here, we mentioned before, sometimes, you catch a cleat or you get stepped on or whatever it might be. I mean, those things can be kind of devastating and cause some significant pain, in this kind of weather.
Nice touch. Ziegler. And a whistle. And on cue, here comes McKelvey into the ball game for Lyman with she of the 2 goals. It's funny, I go back again to a game I watched that we did here on game day, one of our earlier games. I think you mentioned it during the COVID season at Ledyard. We had a game that was fiercely cold. And one of the things that I noticed early in the game, and we talked about, as Montville has a little bit of life here and a little cross, was players almost shying away from balls in the air because they didn't want it hurt. The ball was like people forget when it gets cold, the air compresses and that ball becomes much harder. And players were trying to take it off of bigger body parts, not wanting to use their heads, not wanting to use their thighs and their chests, instead try to get it to their feet quicker. So the cold can have almost not subconscious, but sort of the repeated conscious thought of, maybe I should play this with something else.
Yeah, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I mean, yeah, especially heading a ball in this weather, and those balls can feel like a rock. So, I don't blame them. It can be a tough game in this weather for sure. But thankfully, once again, moving around definitely does help keep that blood flowing. But yeah, those little toe pokes, those little nicks, those little balls can hurt for sure.
That big ball in the air, and you see the kid trap it with his chest, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not doing that again." That's no good.
I think another player of note from Montville to get more involved in the attack is kind of one of their go-tos. Their lone senior, up top there, the center forward, and Cook. She's a player that they need to get going. She's been kind of, not just a leader as a captain, but also kind of one of those gears on the attack that gets them going. So if they can find a way to get her involved, maybe a ball in, then get some overlapping runs involved, playing behind, something to get her more involved, because she's been really a big part of their offense this season.
Well, I can tell you that every time she is even near a ball, Ella Caplet, a senior captain of Lyman, is there, glued to her. So clearly, Lyman feels the same way you do, and they have made a conscious effort to make sure they mark Cook at all turns.
Yeah, once again, with that sweeper behind the stopper, that's just that one safety valve. So if Sydney Cook were even to get through, there's always that backup behind. And once again, that's what's going to be so hard about getting through this Lyman defense. They're so organized and experienced.
Oh, beautiful ball, far post. Can My Jack get there? And it was offsides, as just out of the reach, Cardinale was running on, and it was offsides.
there's that benefit of the three-man system as well, right? The two ARs on the outside. Sometimes when you have, two official system, it's much more difficult to call those offsides in real time. So it's nice to have ARs in these championship games.
Good defensive play from Dunak. Chung keeps it alive for Montville. Oh, beautifully done from Ziegler. And it'll be a Montville throw as it eventually heads out of bounds. O'Donnell. Looks like she's going to be checking out of the game as Tufaris is going to come into the game.
Yeah, you notice, Case, once again, Lyman's looking to play that ball over the top into the area of McKelvey anytime that they can. Any ball at the midfield, out of the back. They trust her so much in the attack. Really the likes of Caplet and Dunnick in the back looking to try to find those players in the attack for sure.
McKelvey lost it. Montville transition, looking to go the other way. Looking for Chung. Beautifully defended, however, from Svedarski. Koning pops it ahead for the Wolves.
Yeah, if Montville's going to be more effective on the attack, they need to get a bigger presence between those center backs, between the stopper and the sweeper, because, once again, unless they're going to take a 20-yard shot, they need to get players kind of stuck in behind that stopper to create some opportunities, because they just can't beat 2 or 3 players.
Kept in nicely by Vol.
And that might come from just playing a little bit more of a direct brand of soccer. They need to transition quicker to catch those defenders kind of off guard, because when they're moving the ball, while they're moving it methodically and with some good passing, it's not moving super quick, which allows the defense to really change their shape and adjust to the attack of Montville. And with a veteran squad back there, it's hard to break down if you're Montville.
That ball comes through to Ziegler. Ziegler heads down the left side. McKelvey's in the middle and well defended by Bella Estelle. And that'll be a goal kick for Montville. Oh, they're calling the corner. They're saying that went off of Estelle, so it will be an opportunity here for Lyman, and it looks like Archer. Maddie Archer will take the corner on the near side of the field as we creep under 30 minutes remaining in the ball game. 2-0 Lyman on top.
Maddie, the sister of former Lyman great Drew Archer.
Archer, hard, head ball, goal! Avery Vol puts it in the back of the net, header off the corner from Archer. Beautiful goal, Bulldogs 3-0.
Tell you what, to Lyman's credit today, they've got 3 big-time postseason goals here. Those are not soft goals. Those are really well-struck goals. 2 from McKelvey, 1 here in the set piece from the corner. Great ball by Archer, betting that ball inside the box and putting that ball away with a header.
That was a great corner from Archer. That ball was put in such a dangerous position where multiple people could have gotten, foot, head, something on it, and Vol was just right there. The timing was perfect. Myjack had no chance.
No, and once again, as a right-footed, corner kick from this side here, that's an in-swinger. So, a ball that is bending towards the keeper, great opportunity for a player to get something on that ball, like you mentioned, head, foot, shoulder, whatever, to put it away. But a great, beautiful ball by Maddie Archer.
Lyman turning up the intensity of attack with this 3-0 lead.
With the pace of the ball that Maddie put on it, you don't need to put much on it as the attacking player. Just putting a body part on it, all the power is already in the service. Pretty goal.
Caplet puts it back on, and McKelvey got there a little too early. Myjack was there for Montville, and it will be Montville's ball here. They'll kick it out from deep in their own end. Koning with a through ball for Chung, and it's a little bit ahead of the game, and popping it out back is Fedarski. Excuse me, check that, Dunak. Dunak again. Bounces off, and the Wolves are trying to get back on the attack.
Montville needs to kind of change their style now. You're in a situation now where, you're 3 goals down. If you have any chance to get back in this game, it needs to happen with direct soccer, physicality, a lot of work ethic, getting some subs on the field, really putting it all on the table, because you're going to be in a situation potential like this in the state tournament, down some goals. So how do we rebound in the situation? You can't just play this methodical, possession style attack. It's got to be quick. It's got to be counters. You got 3 goals to score here to tie this game up with 25 minutes to play.
Nice touch out to Val. Val on trying to get it, one of those long run-on balls, but it was a little too much. You can see there the wind affecting that ball as it knocked it down. McKelvey, here's where she's dangerous, out in front, uses the left and just sails it wide.
Left foot, right foot. McKelvey's got a lot of tools in that toolbox here. So well struck, just missed the near post on that shot. But just so strong on the ball.
So a goal kick for Montville.
You kind of see Lyman very comfortable with this 3-goal lead now, kind of playing a little bit more of a defensive approach, keeping McKelvey up by herself for the most part in that 4-5-1.
Nice ball. Caplet, though, steps through, knocks it out of bounds for Lyman.
Yeah, Caplet's too quick. She's not a player, as a, world-class sprinter. You want to play balls in 50-50 positions. Those 50-50s are going to become a 90-10 real quick. She's super quick.
It's worth mentioning the girls on the field right now are all exceptional athletes in terms of their conditioning. There's not an ounce of body fat to be found. So cushy guys like myself respond better to this type of weather with the extra insulation. You're mentioning these girls have incredible motors, and the fact that they're, churning and burning helps keep the temperature up. But as soon as this game is over and the adrenaline wears off, it's going to get cold fast.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, these kind of games is when, after that whistle blows and after that 7 o'clock game, you might see frost on the field, and then, when the adrenaline wears off, you go from, pumped and warm to, cold and sore, right? And I think the next day you're going to see a lot of regeneration sessions being done by these teams to get their bodies back for the upcoming games of the state tournament.
Well, one thing that you mentioned, and I think it's one of the most underrated, painful things that happens in sports, is the whole being stepped on. If you get stepped on the shin in a game like this, you don't feel it until that bus ride home, and then the adrenaline wears off and the cold wears off, and you're like, what did I do? This hurts. And so you're right. A game like this, physical, it is challenging, and it is the kind of thing you bounce back from. Need a day or two to get yourselves right. And that's for both teams, winning or losing.
Yeah, for me, it was always top of the foot. Top of the foot. That was always the worst, I'd rather take one off the shin or the thigh than top of the foot. Like those bone bruises, and then the swelling, I don't miss those days from that standpoint.
Every step hurts. And it's like that in all sports, As a baseball player, forget it, even in soccer, as a baseball player, you'd get the occasional, play at second base as a middle infielder, and you'd get that right on top of the foot. The guy would hit you as a football player. My son's an offensive lineman, and he says he would take, 100 hits before that stepped on the foot. The guy goes, the guy steps on your foot, and it's like just an awful feeling.
Yeah, and soccer November is not much different than baseball in April, right?
That's right.
It's pretty much the same. So, it's like, hitting a a ball with a metal bat in 45-degree weather. That's never fun either. So, yeah, I mean, sports is pain. But once again, as we talk about this in these situations, pain is temporary, victory is forever, right? So these girls are putting it all in the field here. I mean, obviously super fit. These are athletes that are, conditioned for this after playing so many games this season, and it's always fun to watch.
Yeah, they're still high octane in how they're approaching everything. No one's slowing down, that's for sure.
And credit to Montville. The scoreboard would not indicate what's going on in the field because they have not given up one iota. They are pushing it to the max. You've not seen any of them, looking to just kind of curl up and go home and play for the next game. They're looking to get back in this thing. So credit to, the coaching staff for that motivation and culture they're creating, and just these girls. It's a mindset.
Also, as you mentioned, if you look at time of possession, Montville, has been in control of possession the vast majority of the game. McKelvey with two, very individual goals off of strength and just brilliant shots, and then a fabulous corner kick where Vol scores off of the Archer corner. And, there hasn't been a lot going on. Montville's just possessed, and I don't know that Lyman could ask for a better score off of the amount of possession they've had.
But I think it's by design. I don't think Coach Morello is going to this game saying, guys, we need to outpossess these guys and be methodical and surgical in our possession and our passing. We're going to do what's got us here, and that's going to be we're going to play a high-energy, blue-collar work ethic type soccer, with some direct brand of soccer, playing to our guys that we know can put balls in the back of the net, and we're going to be strong defensively because we know that no matter what we do, win by 1 goal, win by 3, we're going to win because our defense doesn't give up goals. 9 goals against on the season, with a 13-win season so far is impressive.
Montville with 21 minutes remaining here in the ball game, trails 3-0, but still going full throttle. Chung, well defended and cleared from Lyman. That back four, so stout. Kondash for the Wolves. But nothing's getting past Dunak and Caplet, as well as Smithwick on the far side.
As we talk about this case, credit to Montville. Defensively, they have not played a bad game at all. They were just, they've been, the victim of just really 3 good counterattacks. I should say 2 good counterattacks and a set piece on that corner kick. For the most part, they've kept these girls in check. It's just been some of these pretty devastating breakaways and counterattacks. But in general, their shape has been good. Their organization's been good. It's just these 2 great finishes from McKelvey and 1 killer cross. From Archer.
If I'm MyJack and I'm kind of, replaying the game in my head, I think she will take some ownership of that first goal, saying, you know what, I was a little out of position. I came off my line a little early. If I could do it all over again, maybe I don't come off right away or whatever. That's what you do as an athlete, right? You always kind of replay everything and say, what could I have done differently? What would that look like? The second goal, she was in perfect position. That's one of those ones where you tip your hat to the other person and you say, that was a play from McKelvey that 9 out of 10 times, that shot's either going to sail high, sail wide, or I'm going to get a piece of it. It's not going to have enough pace. But it was the perfect ball in that moment. And the corner was as well executed as you can get. So as a keeper, I think, MyJack's going to come off of this and say, yeah, I don't know that I can play a lot better. My defense didn't give up any real shots other than, I didn't feel peppered or anything. It was a well-defended game from Montville to be down 3-0.
Yeah, that second goal, that was a professional goal. That was not a lollipop goal that kind of chipped over the keeper. That was struck with pace. The only way that she saves that goal is if she, open hand, taps it over the bar, but that came on her so quick from that tough angle, once again. And I think to your point from that first goal, she made a mistake there. Not a egregious mistake, but a mistake that caused her to get a better angle, McKelvey. But then, remember, about 5 minutes later, that counterattack, which came out brilliantly off the line.
Yes.
Big time save. So, certainly she's having a good game. It's just a situation where Lyman has been, capitalizing on their chances where Montville hasn't been capitalizing on theirs.
Yeah, Montville's only had 2 real chances. One off the set piece with a juicy rebound off of Carpenter, and the other early on on a nice ball that was just kind of drifting along the end line that Carpenter never had a chance at, and there was no one there on the far side of the field. But no, this is one of those things where, like we say, there's no moral victories, but if I'm Montville, I'm going to walk away from this saying, you know what? We did more good things today than bad. You know, we executed a lot of, and if I'm a coach, I'm going to use this game as you head into the state tournament to build on. There's, you know, a lot to learn off of this effort from Montville, and I'd feel very good about the effort if I were them. Conversely, I think I'd feel really good about the effort if I was Lyman as well. I'd say, you know what? We weren't really threatened. We had a lot of great chances, and we capitalized on a bunch of plays, and I think I'd feel pretty good if both coaches are probably going to come away from this saying, we feel pretty good about things. Here's a corner kick for Lyman. They scored off the last one, and Archer's going to take this one as well. Last time from the near side, she put a beautiful ball right onto the head of Vol for the goal. Let's see what Archer comes up with this time. Same type of ball, same type of look. Vol was running on, but this time my Jack was there to pop it out of bounds with the punch, and it'll go right back out to Archer for another corner.
You know, on this side, Casey now is a right-footed player coming from this side of the field. Now it's going to be, a ball that's going to be, an outswinger. So now the ball's going to bend away from the keeper, so it's important that my Jack gets out there. This time,
Beautifully done. Puts it right onto the foot of Schifrin, and it goes high over the goal for a goal kick.
And you saw Majek on that first corner kick come out and kind of punch that ball away, and then went out for the second corner kick. So yeah, on those outswingers, it's really important that she gets off her line, because as that's bending away from her, she's got to get out and protect her box. Otherwise, that could be an opportunity where she leaves a lot of angle open for a header or a volley into the back of the net.
Chung tried to touch to herself, and well defended by Svidarski, who throws it in for Lyman as we're down under 16 minutes here in the game.
Yeah, I think what Montville's lacking right now in the second half is everything, for the most part, has been kind of down the spine. And once again, that's where the strongest players, lie from a defensive standpoint, on Lyman, especially with the sweeper stopper. They got to get the ball wide, get to the end line, get a corner kick, get a restart, or whip some balls in from the flank to create some opportunities, because down the spine here, it's so congested. And with that kind of methodical possession, it's hard to move the ball quick enough to find some dangerous opportunities.
Montville throw. And it's intercepted by Lyman Schifrin, but it plays back instead to the Montville keeper, Majek.
I mean, even from the keeper, right? Methodical approach. Instead of picking it up and kicking it every time, she's trying to play the ball on the ground, which is a good brand of soccer, and it's recommended brand of soccer. But look at the scoreboard, look at the time. We need to get balls forward. So I think time for playing that possession methodical style, played out of the back on the ground, is kind of passed them by. If you want any chance to get back in this game, you need to play direct. Lose by 4, lose by 3, you still lose. Get some balls in the back of the net. Try something different. And if nothing, if you still lose the game, can we try some things that we might need to put in place for the state tournament too, right?
Yeah, and I think if you punt it, you have the the chance of the good bounce, the flick that eludes people. Then there's more chances of something to advance the ball faster. Playing a transition along the ground is going to take way too long for something to develop.
Well, especially for Lyman, you're seeing some subs come in, some different personnel out there. So it's an opportunity for Montville to try to take advantage of some of those, players that are coming in to get some game experience in a 3-0 win right now, or 3-0, lead rather. Can we, capitalize on some maybe inexperienced or, new players in the field? But Montville doing a really kind of brilliant job moving that ball, playing the way they face, a lot of one-touch, two-touch soccer. From that standpoint, it's positive. But once again, I'm not a moral victory guy. Case you're not either, being a competitive sports guy yourself. Yeah, we have some takeaways that we like, but damn it, I want to win.
So one of my big beliefs about sports, and I talked with the great J.J. Koning before the game. His daughter Katie is a starter for Montville, and we're just talking about being nervous and sort of the importance of these things, of these games. And the greatest thing in sports is winning. The next greatest thing in sports is losing. But being in the arena being in that position, there's nothing else like it. I'd rather, lose every time in a championship format than not play for anything. And it's something very special to lose. And you look back, in your career when you get to be old like us, and losses stand out every bit with the same amount of pride. And it's almost like when you think about the great games that you've won, and you've won plenty across your career as a player and a coach. I guarantee there are losses that stand out as well, where you're every bit as proud of the loss because of what went into it. And I think that's what I think it was you that said there are wins and lessons that you can learn from them, and that's what Montville needs to come out of this game with, is how to build on it, because it's not a complete loss if you learn from it and you can get better from it. And that's something that I think athletes need to understand, that you can be okay with a loss as a building block, not happy losing. There's a difference.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as a coach, if this game ends up with Montville on the losing end of things, with about 11 minutes to play here, you have to remember that you have more games to play. And as a coach, you need to speak to your players about how we approach this loss and how we learn from it, right? When do you learn? But, every coach, worth their salt understands that the agony of a loss is far more impactful than the euphoria of a win. I remember more losses in my career than all those wins. They're so impactful. The coulda, woulda, shoulda. Like, could I have done something different? What kind of game plan could I have designed to maybe provide a different outcome? But as a coach, you have 15, 20, young women here that need to learn something from this loss so they can benefit them going forward into the next game in the state tournament, and then of course next season.
Here's a chance offsides for Taylor Lawrence. I think that's a common theme with coaches and with players. For me personally, I won multiple state championships, and I promise you the joy that I felt from winning those, which was immense, is not as powerful as the agony of the loss that I felt in the state championship game that I lost, where I still replay every second of that game. And Todd Meadows is at bat, in the last inning against Hamden, just knowing he was going to hit one out, and just the agony of feeling that loss, and that doesn't change. I'm 52 years old. I can't believe I just said that out loud. I'm 52 years old, and the only competitive thing I have now for me is golf. And I won 2 golf events, 2 championships last year, and lost 1 this year. And the pain of the loss is so much more powerful. It is for a motivation than the euphoria of the wins. The wins are great, but the losses stick with you. And that's but what's great is that as time goes on, 5 years from now, when Emily McKelvey's just graduate or is a senior at some school where she's got 40 goals at some college someplace, the Montville girls are going to talk about this championship game, and they're going to go, yeah, do you remember those goals McKelvey had? Do you remember that one I don't even know how she got that one in. Do you remember that corner? Because they're going to look back at it and realize that they stood toe-to-toe with some great players. And that's another thing about high school. You look back on it and you realize how good some of the guys and people you played against were.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's why we play, right? It's why we train, it's why we play, it's why we put these countless hours in. And I give so much credit to these athletes, that athletes I've coached, athletes that we watch. I mean, it takes so much, with your own son and my own son and my own daughter, the countless hours that athletes put into it to perform on a stage for 80 minutes or an hour or 2 hours, whatever it might be. And it's impressive to watch. So, like I said, I enjoy being part of these broadcasts just because I enjoy giving back to sport like you do, and watching these young athletes perform at these high levels.
Well, you as a coach, you had some of the great players in school history. And I promise you, teams that you beat look back and say, oh, do you remember how good Lyman was? You remember how good he was? I put, and I'm not talking about ECC teams. I'm talking about the teams you beat from downstate, championship games. They're going back. They're looking back years later, and they're going, oh, man, that kid, oh, my God, he was so good. So these are formative games, and it's something that sticks with you. And despite a 3-0 deficit, I think there's a lot to like from what Montville's put out there. And of course, we mentioned in the beginning, Lyman. This game is at 2:00 because there's a memorial service at 5:00 for a Lyman student classmate of these girls who passed away tragically, and that's where they all want to be. So for this victory is going to be, almost cathartic in some ways for some of these girls.
Oh, it's going to be emotional because you have the emotion of working so hard for a championship for a bunch of girls that have done so much this year and last year. And then when the game is over and that euphoria of this win passes and then all the emotions kind of flood your body with the sadness of losing a classmate, it's going to be a tough day for these girls, So it's one of those things that, we what doesn't kill us makes us stronger, right? But something that, we feel for the community of Lebanon. And if this is one step towards the healing process of putting another banner up in the gym, then so be it. Sport can have a great way of reaching so many.
I promise you, when these girls walk into that service later, and they are going to be able to say, we won, they're going to feel a sense of pride in being able to deliver that in a moment where it's so difficult. Here goes McKelvey, touches it out to her left, looking for the hat trick, puts it on and punched out by Myjack.
McKelvey continue to be impressive. Left foot, right foot, can strike the ball with both feet, multi-footed attacking player, and once again, as only a sophomore, so something to be said for their future. And then once again, right back at it, they get another set piece from a corner kick.
Archer goes long this time and sails ahead of everyone, and Montville attempts to clear. Now, having seen McKelvey for a while now, what do you think her dominant is?
From my standpoint, it appears to be the right. I feel like her left foot is solid, but that right foot she seems more confident with. But at the same time, she is not changing her body shape to play that ball to her dominant foot, which most great players will do. It's whatever that ball is, left foot, right foot, I'm going to put it on the frame, because that's how you get better with that not dominant foot. Think back to like baseball. You want to become a switch hitter, you got to practice both ways. So, we saw her take down a ball earlier for that first goal off the chest and definitely knock it in the back of the net. And then she rocked the ball into the far post shot with the right foot. But we've seen 2 rockets off her left foot on this near post earlier that both just missed the frame. So I would say she's probably a dominant right-footed player, but certainly relies on both.
Ziegler. Oh, and whistle. So it'll go over to Montville.
Seeing a little more of Lyman playing down the flanks, and I think part of that is, they have different personnel in the field, some players in and out, but trying to attack the end line a bit. That's a great, dangerous ball. If you can attack the end line and whip that ball back negative towards players running on the goal, I don't care if that ball goes in off a Montville foot or a Lyman foot. A goal is a goal. Those can be very, very dangerous. You're taking, 4 defenders and 3 attackers, and it becomes 7 attackers because everyone's running towards their own goal.
As clock ticks now down, under 5 minutes remaining here, 3-0 Lyman on their way to another ECC Division II Girls Championship. Of course, we remind you, 7 o'clock tonight, Game 2 of our doubleheader, the number 1 seeded Waterford High School Lancers, and they'll be taking on the number 2 seed NFA Wildcats, and that should be a good one. Those teams played each other once during the regular season, and what happened? A 1-1 tie in double overtime. So couldn't be anything more than that. That's to ask for here in Game 2. 1v2 to settle it in the Division 1. Here, Lyman with 4 minutes and change remaining, trying to hold on to a 3-0 victory, and Ziegler will throw it in. She's going to pass it off to her teammate Litwin, and Litwin will throw it in. The freshman puts it to Archer. Archer back to Litwin, and over to Ziegler, playing a little keep away, and Estelle bumps it out of bounds for Montville.
Yeah, I think a little bit of the wind has been taken out of the sails from Montville. You can see some of the possession kind of dropping off. Lyman sensing victory with, now under 4 minutes to play here, and putting the ball kind of in dangerous places for the last probably 10, 15 minutes of soccer here. So kind of a natural progression, I think, when you're up 3-0 in the waning minutes of a championship game.
Nicely done by Estelle. Now back the other way, Archer puts it on the far side, looking for Cardinale. Cardinale puts it in a center, defended by the Wolves, and back out to Cardinale.
Yeah, Cardinale with a little bit of pace of herself, definitely gaining ground on the outside, defenders from Montville in that overlapping run there.
We haven't mentioned in a while Phoebe Carpenter, the junior goalkeeper of Lyman. She's on her way. She's under 2.5 minutes remaining away from a shutout here in the championship game. Really untested today. Had to make one save, and she made it. Testament to that great back line of Lyman.
Yeah, a win here today would give her 11th shutout of the season. Quite impressive when you got, 13 wins and 11 of those came as a shutout.
Not easy to score on this Lyman team between Caplet and Dunak and Svidarski. So adept, these groups. Add into the mix Cardinale, who plays great. Smithwick, such a good defensive unit for Lyman.
I'd be curious, and Mark Morello's long and very legendary career, 35th season for him. How many seasons he's had with this many shutouts as a defensive unit. 11 shutouts in a season is quite impressive. 16-game regular season. A few post-game seasons with more to go in the tournament. So Carpenter could have a few more on the docket, depending how the state tournament goes. So I'd be curious to see what that state record, or rather school record, is for shutouts in a season. 11 is getting up there.
Minute and 15 remaining here. Lyman. The question is just the final score at this point. Ziegler taps it out. Judd.
1 minute remaining in the game.
1 minute remaining. Of course, after the game, you're going to want to find us on social media, Game Day CT, at any of our social media platforms, and you'll see an interview with championship coach Mark Morello, as well as the player of the game. And then again, tonight, 7 o'clock, Waterford NFA tips off in the championship game, Division 1. Under 30 seconds remaining. So we'll have interviews with the coach and the player of the game. You can find those all on Game Day CT at any of our social media platforms. Ten seconds remaining in the ball game. The clock ticking down. Montville with a throw as we click to 5 seconds. That is going to do it, and the Lyman Bulldogs are your champions of the ECC Division II tournament. 13-3-1 during the regular season, a championship for the Lyman Bulldogs. A game Montville team will head into the state tournament feeling very good about their efforts, but at the end of it all, a 3-0 loss to Lyman. So congratulations to Mark Morello and to all the Bulldogs. And as I mentioned earlier, you're going to want to find us on Game Day CT after this on all of our social media platforms, where we will have the interviews with the head coach as well as the player of the game. We will be signing off, but our camera will stay live and trained on the field for the presentation of the awards and the trophy. So you can watch it live here. Come on back at 7 o'clock tonight for the Waterford NFA Girls Division I Final. For the coach, Colin Delaney, he'll be back with us again at 7. And for all the crew, I'm Casey O'Neill. See you at 7 o'clock, everybody.
A big round of applause for your Montville Wolves. And here they are once again, your 2023 ECC Division II Girls Soccer Champions, Lyman Bulldogs. Big round of applause.